Hi everybody, my name is Marco Pasi and I am an associate professor in the History of Hermetic Philosophy and related currents at the University of Amsterdam. I am here today to present to you the master program in Theology and Religious Studies and the research master program in Religious Studies at the University of Amsterdam. And I'm trying to guide you through the most important aspects and features of our programs. I'm going to tell you about what you need to know in order to make a decision for your future study at the University of Amsterdam. So the first question that you might have is, why studying religion in the first place? Who cares about religion today, right? Well, religion is still a very, very relevant subject, very relevant topic for society and for culture today. And so that's why it is still important to study it. We need to understand why people did the things they did in the past, because this is still shaping our present. So people killed each other, people did the most amazing things because of religion in the past. And this has very, very important consequences and effects even today. So if we want to understand why certain things are the way they are today, and why we do certain things today, why our culture has been shaped in a certain way, we need to understand how people behaved religiously in the past. And religion is not something that has disappeared. It's not something that has gone away from our world. It's still very much around today. In the past, there was an idea that religion was disappearing. So this is the big old thesis of secularization, whereby religion is something that is becoming less and less important to understand social dynamics, because it's a thing of the past. It's something that has something to do with superstition. And in an enlightened world, in a scientific world, in a rational world, religion will not really play a big role anymore. Well, this was simply wrong, because in spite of all predictions and forecasts, religion has remained in the world and is still very much around, and it simply makes people do things, even today. So not just in the past. It's not just about understanding why people were doing certain things that had to do with religion in the past. If we want to understand how the world functions today, religion is still a very, very important factor. And then religion is also creativity. We don't understand the richness of human culture if we don't know something about religion. People do things because of religion. Sometimes they do nasty things, sometimes they do beautiful things. And it's important to understand why there is this incredible motor that put people into action. And if we study religion, we understand some of these dynamics. Now, our program is not just about religion, but is also about spirituality. And this makes our program quite unique. So what is spirituality? Spirituality is a key dimension of religion, both in the history of Western culture and in contemporary societies. Now, spirituality can be understood as a form of religion that is focused on the individual rather than the collective. So it's not so much about institutions, not so much about churches necessarily, but it's more about how individual persons understand religion, construct religion for themselves, and also, most importantly, practice religion. Now, in that sense, religion is concerned with the cultivation of personal experiences more than legal or doctrinal matters. So it's less about dogmas, it's less about canons, and it's more about the way in which people experience, religion itself. And then an implication is also that the emphasis is more on practice rather than on belief. In the past, especially at the beginning of the scholarly study of religion, there was a bit of a bias whereby scholars would tend to focus mostly on what people believed. There was a kind of strict association between the very idea of religion and the idea that the basis for religion is actually a set of beliefs. Well, things have changed since then, and now it is clear that scholars want to focus very much also on aspects of lived religion and also the way in which religion is being practiced. So not just something that is being thought, not just something that is being believed in, but also something that is being done. And finally, but also importantly, spirituality very often challenges orthodoxy. So it has to do with heterodox ideas and practices. So very often when you have institutions that uphold certain dogmas, you find forms of spirituality that want to move away or criticize those canons and those dogmas. Now, why does this matter? Why does also the study of spirituality matter? Now, religion institutions have often tried to limit or to control forms of spirituality, and sometimes even in extreme cases to suppress them, persecute them. Now, this has generated situations of tension, conflict, but also of creative transformation. So we shouldn't think that there has to be necessarily a violent opposition between religion and forms of spirituality. Sometimes the result of the clash has been attempts at creating new forms of religion. So creative responses to this tension, and the historical and social relevance of this transformation is crucial, but it is very often also underappreciated, even by scholars. Now, our program offers a unique, comprehensive understanding of the social and cultural relevance of these interactions, because they are productive of religious change. So we want to understand why religions, when they are considered and understood in the flow of history, change. They don't remain the same. And what you see of certain religious forms, religious phenomena 200 years ago, in the same tradition, in the same flow, you look at them today and they are very, very different. So it's important to understand how and why this has happened. Now, importantly, we look not only at the perspectives of those who establish and take care of religious institutions, so typically in many religious traditions, the clergy, but also, and especially, of those who constantly challenge them from within and from without. So it's important to consider the perspectives of those who are sort of caretakers of particular religious institutions, religious traditions, but also the perspective of those who set themselves outside of these traditions or still inside of these traditions, but with a kind of oppositional and critical outlook. So why study spirituality and religion in Amsterdam with our programs? The master's program, so I am referring more particularly here to the one-year master program in spirituality and religion, is unique in the world in its exclusive focus on spirituality and religion. And it is important to emphasize that we have a scholarly, scientific, secular perspective on the relationship between spirituality and religion. There are some programs also in some other academic institutions that do focus on spirituality, but then perhaps with a different approach, a different perspective, more perhaps from a theological perspective. Sometimes this is related also to pastoral or missionary studies. And we are exclusively focusing on this phenomena from let's say, a religious studies perspective, so non-theological approach. Even if, and this is just a footnote, just on a side note, even if technically the program is also called theology and religious studies, but this has to do with categorizations that exist at the national level in the Dutch academic system. So even if the name is there, so that's the official title, then we actually stick to a pure religious studies perspective. Now, students who come to Amsterdam for our program will follow courses offered by the Center for the History of Hermetic Philosophy and Related Currents, which is the world-leading institute in the field of Western esotericism. So that's something that is also quite unique. And the program gives the possibility to attend numerous conferences and meetings in the vibrant atmosphere of Amsterdam city center. Now, of course, you might think, well, how about the situation with Corona and now with the pandemic? Obviously, we hope that by the start of the next academic year, we will get back to some kind of normal situation and that we will be able to resume teaching on location. But it is also true that at the moment, most of our teaching is being given online. But who knows? We hope that this will not be the case next year and that all students will be will be able to come over to Amsterdam and enjoy also the vibrant atmosphere of the Dutch capital. And then there are extraordinary resources for research. We have a university library, so the library of the University of Amsterdam, which is fantastic, one of the biggest libraries in the whole of the Netherlands. And the library also has amazing collections that are very much related to the subjects that we study here. Then there is the Embassy of the Free Mind, formerly known as the Ritman Library or the Bibliotheca Philosophica Hermetica, which is a world famous institution, especially with the fantastic collection that has to do with Western esotericism. And then also other institutions, other libraries, such as the Library of the Theosophical Society, which is one of the best collections in Europe for the study of modern Western esotericism and spirituality. Now, this is the structure of the one-year master program, so spirituality and religion. So in the first semester, you have 3 core courses that are for all students in the program, independently from the specialization that they want to take for the rest. So in these 3 core courses, students are introduced to the main aspects, the main subjects. So there is a bit of an overview of the main subjects. Then there are some theoretical and methodological aspects that they are going to be introduced to. So this sets the tone, so to speak, to the rest of the program. Then also in the first semester, as you can see here, in block 1 and block 2, because our semesters are divided in 3 blocks. So you have the possibility of choosing electives. So different electives that we offer, and they usually depend also on the specialization that you want to take. In the second semester, you can still take a number of electives, but then also at that point, since the program is just in 1 year, you will have to start working on your thesis, the final thesis. So it is 18 ECTS, and this will take most of the second semester. Now, in the program, we have 3 specialization areas. The first one is spirituality and esotericism in Western culture. The second one is religion and spirituality in contemporary societies, and then spirituality and religion in Islam. Let's have a look at all 3 of them, and also at some of the electives that we offer for each of them. Now, the first one, as I said, is spirituality and esotericism in Western culture, that has more of a historical approach, and the main subject, the main area of study in this case is Western esotericism, for which we are actually famous in the world. This is one of the things that attracts quite a lot of students also from abroad, so international students. And the main electives for this specialization area are spirituality and esotericism in antiquity, spirituality and esotericism in the Middle Ages, and these are 2 new electives that we are going to offer for the first time next year. Then Renaissance esotericism, so in the early modern period, and then occult trajectories, which focuses more on the modern, late modern period. And then there are also other electives, for instance, Sufism and Islamic mysticism, which is shared also with the other specialization on Islam. The second specialization area is religion and spirituality in contemporary societies. So this is a bit less historical. There is more of an emphasis on social scientific methods here, because the focus is very much on religion and spirituality as they are practiced and lived today in contemporary societies. In this case, the main electives are religion and spirituality in contemporary societies, the power of words, objects, and rituals, which focuses very much on magic, especially folk and popular forms of magic. Then religion, violence, and conflict resolution, which focuses very much on the societal impact of religious traditions, religious ideas, especially when they generate conflicts and tensions. And then the beginnings of Jewishness, which focuses on Judaism and the history of Judaism. Then the third specialization area is spirituality and religion in Islam, which, as the title says, focuses on Islam. And the main electives in this case are global Islam in historical perspective, religion and spirituality in the city, Sufism and Islamic mysticism, and anthropology of Islam, which also focuses very much on gender aspects in the study of Islam. And now we move on to the second program that I wanted to present to you today. So far we have been talking about the one-year program, mostly, so the one-year master program, but we also offer a research master program, and this is in 2 years. So in this case, we have also 3 core courses, but they are bigger than for the one-year master. The 3 core courses for the one-year master were all placed in the first semester, and where they were all 6 ECTS each. Now, in this case, the 3 core courses are spread over the 2 years of the research master program, and they are 15 ECTS or 12 ECTS, so they're actually more substantial. And then there is also another core course that is quite important, Current Issues in Religious Studies and Western Esotericism, which is based on a series of lectures. So we invite lecturers, guest lecturers, sometimes from abroad also, so specialists that may bring some new perspectives, some new ideas about what we do here. So about study of religion from the particular point of view that we have here in Amsterdam. Now, the research master program also has a number of electives, which are very much the same ones that you saw for the one-year master. So some of the electives that I have already mentioned could also be taken by the research master students. Research master students also have the possibility and actually the obligation to take a research tutorial. So they have to get in touch with one of the professors, the instructors, and agree on a research topic, and then they work on this topic on a one-to-one basis usually. Then research master students also have to participate in one of the national research schools in the Netherlands. So there are different research schools for different areas of study. For religious studies and theology, the research school is Noster, and typically research master students have to participate in a symposium or a seminar where they can put into practice some of the things that they have learned in the course of the program until then. And then there is at the end of the program also a thesis. So there is this final work, which is actually more substantial than the thesis for the one-year master. So in this case, it's 30 ECTS, so it's actually a bigger work. Now, what are the requirements, the entry requirements for the programs? Now, you need to have a bachelor's degree, of course, that should go without saying. But it is important to have at least 30 ECTS, which is equivalent to a full-time semester of academic studies in the field of religious studies, or at least in subjects that are somehow relevant to the study of spirituality and or religion. Now, if you have specific questions about the entry requirements, you should write to the admissions office. You have here the email address, and this is also an address that you find very easily in the web page dedicated to our program in the website of the University of Amsterdam. So you just need to Google Spirituality and Religion Master Program, University of Amsterdam, and you will land there, and you will also find all the necessary instructions and addresses where you can ask further questions. Now, suppose that you realize that you don't fulfill the entry requirements, but still you are very, very interested in the program. Well, we do have a solution for you, and this is the pre-master. Now, unfortunately, this works only for, this works only if you are a Dutch student or a student from one of the European Union countries. In this case, you can take the pre-master, which means that you have to study for a year and take some subjects before you can get access to the master program. So you take some subjects, and then you have a kind of a degree that allows you, that makes you eligible to apply for the master afterwards. Now, another possibility to get some extra credits in case you miss some, well, you just need a little bit in order to become eligible. Another possibility is a winter school that we are going to offer in January for the first time. And this is called Visions of the Occult. So the main focus will be on Western esotericism. If you are interested in Western esotericism, here is your chance to get a first introduction, a first overview in the field of Western esotericism. And the deadline for applications is the 15th of December 2020. And now, generally, bachelor students, students who are involved in BA programs, especially advanced, so in the second or third year, are welcome to apply. But also, anybody really can apply, especially if they have already some academic experience. Important is also the motivation letter. And this could give you some extra credits that you could use later if you want to apply also for the master program. In order to get further information, you can just Google Visions of the Occult. That's the title of the winter school, and University of Amsterdam, and then you will land immediately on the dedicated page for this. The deadline, as I said, is 15th of December 2020, and the whole program, the whole winter school, will be offered online, so you don't need to come over to Amsterdam. Now, what can you do after your MA program with us? Now, there are different possibilities, and now I'm going to mention some of the things that our students have been doing after taking our degrees. So the first possibility is moving on to the world of education and teaching, also at middle level, so elementary school, but also especially at middle schools, particularly in with respect to subjects as religion and social disciplines, but also when it comes to policy development in an educational setting. Journalism and media, especially for journals that are interested in having correspondents or journalists who have an expertise in the field of religion or spirituality or esotericism. So this is something that can be pursued, and it has been pursued by some of our former students. Then there is, of course, the academic career. This is mostly for the research master. So typically those who want to take, so to go on with the PhD program afterwards, they go for the research master. There is a possibility also to have a career in the publishing world, publishing business. So some of our students ended up becoming editors in publishing houses. In some cases, of course, you need to take some extra training in order to develop particular skills, but the base is also, especially for some publishing houses with the expertise in religious studies, is already quite relevant, quite important. Sorry. Then there is the possibility also with the expertise that you get here to work for government institutions at various levels, so both national and international, aimed especially at policy development and information. Now, in this case, these institutions could include ministries of domestic affairs, foreign affairs, law and foreign aid, municipal government, so more at the local level, migration policies, religious diversity, and minority policies. So we actually very often institutions are interested in how to deal with social situations that have to do with religion. So in this case, the specific expertise that we build up here can be very relevant. And then, apart from more institutional, so let's say political or governmental institutions, there are also non-governmental institutions, non-governmental organizations, again in the fields of policy development, foreign affairs, expert information, aid, and mediations. Now, what are the deadlines for the programs? For the 1 year MA, the deadline is the 1st of March 2021 for all applicants that don't have a nationality in the European Union. So in this case, international students who are not Dutch and are not coming from a country of the European Union, they have to apply before the 1st of March. And then for Dutch citizens and citizens from one of the European Union countries, then the deadline is the 15th of May 2021. Now, for the research master, on the other hand, there is only one deadline, and it is the 1st of March 2021 for everybody. And this is the end of my presentation. I hope you found it interesting. And if you have questions, you can also write me. I am the coordinator of the master program. Again, my name is Marco Pasi, and my email address is m.pasi, P-A-S-I, at uva.nl. You also find my email address in the dedicated webpage for the master program, Spirituality and Religion at the University of Amsterdam. Thank you very much for your attention, and I really hope to see you next year in Amsterdam. Thank you very much.